I remember, at one of my events, there was like 4,000 people there. Everyone's just going off. It's crazy. It's a successful event. I was looking at the audience and I felt like, wouldn't it be amazing if I could get this many people to listen to like maybe a scientist? Because at that point I was really getting into, reading philosophy, reading science. Because I went through from 2005 to about 2008, I went through this personal journey of, learning about the world religions and reading philosophy, etc. So, I had this moment where I had that thought and I was like, what is out there like that? So I realized intellectual events, they did exist, primarily in the academic space. So at universities, there were lectures, and then there were big conferences with really high price ticket tags, like, $2,000+. Al Gore has been to Australia, and this is, that existed. But I realized that doesn't invite an average punter like me to go to either of them. I don't want to go to uni. The last place I want to be, so I remember the 4 or 5 years I was at uni, I don't want to go back there. And if you're at uni, the last place you want to go back to is another lecture hall. You don't want to go there. So, and then I couldn't afford to go to any of the big conferences. So I was thinking about it, and then it dawned on me, why don't I create something? So I had an idea in 2010. The idea was a little too ambitious, but in a nutshell, I wanted to create, back then, the biggest music festival in Australia was Big Day Out. So I wanted to create the intellectual Big Day Out. That was my goal. So I created Think Inc. originally as an event, not a brand. So it was meant to be an event. It was an annual event that's going to happen. And my first attempt was, to invite as many intellectuals I could think of, but mix in comedians, musicians, and make it into an ideas festival. And it did happen. In 2011, I organized the first version of it. The first time ever Neil deGrasse Tyson visited Australia was for that event. I had Michael.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there was.
So great,
there's funny stories there, but he's great. I had Michael Shermer. I had the world slam poetry champion Shane Koizan from Canada. Josh Thomas was the host. Father Bob from Melbourne was there. A whole heap of people. But the problem was that I needed a lot of people to make that work financially. And I had a very low ticket price. It was for this entire day event. It was $99 with all these speakers, full day event. Compared to other events like that, it was really well priced. So I had 1,750 people attend that event, which visually it looked great. And I remember seeing a blog post a few days after saying, we've made $1 million. Like somebody calculated how many heads were there, calculated the dollar numbers, and that means they made $1 million. But the reality is I actually needed just over 3,000 people to break even. So we actually lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of Think Inc. Although it was a success in a way, but financially it was a failure. But I knew the idea had legs. So it took me a while. I moved to Sydney, and in 2013 I started working on it again. And I worked extremely hard to make it a reality. Then I turned the actual Think Inc. website that I had, which still kept getting traffic, into a brand itself. And I started posting a few things here and there, got a few people to write, and we used to get a lot of traffic. So then I realized, okay, the way to go is turn Think Inc. into a brand. It's an intellectual brand. And then I relaunched it in 2014 with Dr. Michio Kaku, the co-founder of Superstring Theory, as a standalone tour. It was just him.
I remember that.
It was Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. We announced it, and within, I remember the first few hours, the site kept going down because of the demand.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is working. But I wasn't expecting it to be like that. But the rest is history, more or less. That tour was sold out, and that gave me what I needed to then run with it.
To see the full interview, simply go to Google and type in full interview. No, that won't work. There'll be a link somewhere.